to close out, our next speaker coming up is Devin Pastoor from Metrum Research. Thanks again, Bill.
Let's see.
I can hear you, Devin.
Great. And then should hopefully be coming up.
All set. Thanks again, Devin.
All right. So thank you all for joining, and what a great start to the conference. It has been so exciting to me to see how the general discussion has shifted over the past couple of years, from many organizations starting to just dip their toes in the water to really embracing and championing R. Last year, I spoke about some of the stages that an organization may face in their journey towards R being used to drive innovation and efficiency. For many starting that journey, package management was a problem in flux. And I think this challenge has been met head on as tools and products have emerged to help blend the best of the open source ecosystem while still bringing the structure needed as a foundation for enterprise and controlled environments seen throughout pharma. So though many people were here, last year or the year before, I'd like to kind of push upwards in this journey that was discussed about and talk a little bit about our experiences. At Metrum, we have about 40 scientists working across a broad set of domains, from genomics, quantitative systems pharmacology, through clinical trial designs, and even into health economics outcomes. We also have a platform networks in that we support clients using R and other pharma tools. And so we have been really trying to figure out how to innovate and support all of these different use cases, especially around package management. And if I think I distill this down beyond just saying package management, it really turns into package lifecycle management. How do we do things like track package snapshots? How are they treated over time? What do we do about internally developed packages? And overall, how do we make people successful even when using older versions? These questions really push towards a philosophy, as Hadley calls it, of helping users fall into a pit of success. And for many companies, this lifecycle management will start with a snapshot. And the importance of this snapshot really comes because when you think about a package, you're not really just grabbing that package. You're grabbing that package and potentially some significant dependency tree that comes along with it. So if you want dplyr 1.0.2, you're actually getting dplyr in all of the dependencies that it needs. And so when we reach out and grab those on CRAN, CRAN itself being a moving target poses that organizational risk of which versions of packages are people using. And this is what snapshots help prevent. We can pin down that entire tree to a point in time and be able to reproducibly install and configure and manage those packages. Now, these snapshots undoubtedly stand on the shoulders of the giants that are managing CRAN and that ecosystem. But unfortunately, those point-in-time snapshots are really not the full solution. There are still rough edges. And one of our first learnings when we were going down our snapshot journey was that breakages slip through. Yet there's another giant we can lean on, and that is the community. It is truly amazing how quickly the community will identify, react, and fix bugs for new packages. And in fact, this recent release of the 1.0 version of GERT, Ginny Bryan was in within hours of that release happening with that fix. But of course, with that fix, even though it's fixed in the development version, we might not see that fix for many weeks on CRAN. And so what we decided to do was to extend that snapshot concept and take those snapshots of packages from CRAN, from GitHub, our internal packages, but then we introduced a delay of around a week. And we wanted to see, would major issues crop up on issue trackers, discussion forums, or even places like Twitter? That way, we could test and roll in packages before that final snapshot was released for general consumption. This centralization of review also helped enforce organizational risk management processes and some other things that QA groups love to talk about so much. The next thing that we wanted to couple with these snapshots as we thought about focusing on user success is we wanted to make sure people could surface what was at their disposal. And to do that, we wrapped the snapshots on a website. And this is very similar to RStudio Package Manager, if those of you are aware of that, in that it surfaces key information around the snapshots and the packages. We wanted people to be able to answer questions like, if I want to upgrade to a particular snapshot, what might the risk be if to my scripts, if I update? If I use package version X and I would update, what would the new version be? And as that snapshot journey continued to evolve, one pain point that began to crop up was users referencing older snapshots would start to look for public documentation like they're used to. For example, the Tidyverse website. But those represent the newest package versions. So when we started tracking these package releases, we decided that one way to support those older snapshot versions successfully was we actually needed to rebuild and store ourselves the documentation for every package version snapshotted. And this was actually surprisingly difficult because when you build a package for CRAN, it's stripped of a lot of the extra data that's useful and needed in many cases for rebuilding those full docs. And so instead, we've had to go back and reference those changes to looking at GitHub tags or even down to commit hashes to identify what version of a repository was really used to actually make that release so we could build those kind of custom docs. And then finally, we sought to improve the discoverability of what packages are available. There are always people onboarding to the organization, tackling new types of projects, or looking to grow professionally. And by building out these collections of packages where we can say, hey, if you're developing Shiny, check out these packages that might be valuable to you. This helps people and nudges them towards both recommended packages and reduces the amount of time they need to use kind of searching around for something. And so this solution we called the Metrum Package Network, and it's freely available for people to use at mpn.metworks.com. And I have a link in the last slide, so feel free to check it out. So once we had these snapshots in place, this brought us to that next challenge. What should we do about internal packages? Testing them, incorporating them, delivering them. Our development activities mirror many of the topic points that Ellis brought up in his talk. But ultimately, when we look out at what has made open source packages successful, there were still some gaps. In short, testing packages in the open source community focuses on working across platforms with the latest dependencies. And for early snapshots, we followed this pattern. We rolled new packages solely accessible through the latest snapshot, and that's what people had to deal with. But this introduced some significant dilemmas for people working on existing projects. If they wanted new features and new packages, they'd have to decide between spending time upgrading all of their dependencies just to get one new internal package, or by incurring some individual risk and significantly higher QC burden by blending packages across snapshots. So we decided to transpose that testing matrix. And this is what snapshots all of a sudden opened the door towards. We could not consider just the operating system in our version, but we could look across time. How would our package function with older snapshots or newer ones? And so now in our CI pipelines, we're able to test both the the oldest known compatible snapshot, the latest snapshot, and the tip of CRAN. And this helps us catch accidental subtle bugs and slippages by using, for example, newer functions that weren't released yet when we thought they were further backwards compatible. And it helps give us a powerful vernacular and framework for communicating the range of snapshots a standalone package version might work with. But these standalone packages are only valuable if we can get them into users' hands. And we did not want to compromise on reproducibility and traceability of where the package was coming from. And so we also developed a lightweight tool called PackagePub that builds a package into a standalone CRAN-like repository that tags it, injects additional metadata, and then pushes that up. So testing a new feature, trying a new package version, or even being able to look back across time is as easy as perusing different URLs. And so overall, as Metrum ourselves has kind of continued up this organizational journey, we hope that looking forward, we can bring other people along with us. And so in my kind of final closing statements, I'd like to make this kind of a call to enterprise action, where I would love to see the spread of kind of enterprise readiness, take the best of the open source community and blend this together with some of the needs of the enterprise. Because in my mind, they're not mutually exclusive. We can do this together. And so we've put a couple tools out in the open, and there's so much wonderful discourse around strategy and how we might implement this. But ultimately, we're going to need drivers and additional tooling to allow different organizations to be successful under their different kind of decisions. And so if this is something that your organization is facing, or you'd like to talk more about how we can get into the implementation, I personally would love to chat. Metrum is looking to continue to expand that tooling open footprint, and we'd love for you to try out some of the stuff that we've been using. So this is my contact information, and I hope that you all continue to enjoy the conference. It was fantastic seeing all of the discussion today, and it's going to be wonderful seeing these next couple of days arise.
Thank you, Devin. That was a great closeout.